The next thing we're going to do is set up some other information to show on the base slide, namely the ball number and the player number. And for those, we'll start with a couple of more MPF variables. So in our base slide here, we're going to make a new node of MPF variable. And this one we're going to call player ball. And the variable type is current player. The variable name is going to be ball. It's only going to be single digits, so we don't need comma separation or a minimum number of digits. However, we do want some formatting because I don't want just to say the number of the ball. We want to say ball and then the number of the ball. So use a template string for that. I'll say ball parentheses s. And a template string parentheses s is what gets replaced with the value that it finds. So if it's ball 1, it'll say ball 1. Ball 2 will say ball 2. So to see what that looks like, we'll put some text in here, ball 1, and that looks pretty ugly. So let's do some theme overrides. Let's set a font size of, I don't know, 80. No, that's too big. How about 40? 60. Perfect. And let's give it some color. Why not? We'll do colors, font color, and how about a nice contrast to the green with some orange? Yeah, dark orange. Yeah, all right. It's hideous, but this is a demo project, so there we go. So there's our ball number. I'll put that right there. And we'll duplicate that. We'll just right-click, duplicate, and we'll rename this one to be player number. And we'll set the text to be player 1. Those are on top of each other, so let's move that over because it's nice to have the player number before the ball number, like that. And for this one, we'll say the variable name is number because it's the player number, and the template string is player parentheses s. Now this is something where we only want it to show if there's more than one player because a one-player game doesn't need to say player 1. So we're going to set the minimum players to 1. Max players is 0, so if there's just more than one player, no, that's wrong. We want min players to be 2. 2 players, this will show up. If it's a one-player game, it will not show up. And that's great. But it's a little bit tricky here because we see, well, if there's only one player, it's not going to show up. But if we hide it, we've still got that ball section floating around in the middle of nowhere. And that's not very aesthetic. So it's time for us to leverage some Godot built-in controls. Control is the green Godot nodes, and those manage layouts and dynamic positioning of things based on rule sets. So what we're going to use here is called an HFlowContainer, a horizontal flow container, where all of the children start at the beginning and are laid out horizontally. And if a child is invisible or hidden, the other ones will collapse onto it. So we're going to make a new node here, and we're going to search for HFlowContainer, and there it is right there. And it's got nothing in it, but we will put it about where we want it here, like that. And then we'll make player number the first child and drag player ball to be the second child. And you can see now they're lined up. Now the order here is what matters. So if we move player ball to be the child first, you'll see in the screen that ball 1 becomes before player 1. So that's a much easier way to position things on the screen rather than trying to drag them out. And like if the size changes or if you want to put some more stuff in between, this is a much easier way to manage it. They are kind of close together. So we click on the HFlowContainer and go down to Theme Overrides Constants, and we'll set the H separation of 20. Maybe a little bit more, maybe 30, to get 30 pixels of space in between the children. And you'll notice here, if the player number, we hide that, ball scoots over to the left. So we can dynamically adjust the position of those elements without having to worry about what they say. And like if we were to go to player number here and change to say player number, it's automatically going to move things over. So that's great. Love that. Now, the thing here is that we are still explicitly positioning this horizontal flow container, and that's not ideal. We just want that to be at the top. So we could put it at the top by setting, like we did with the player score, we're going to set the layout to be anchors, and we can set it at top left. And we want to reset this position, and there it is. But that's a little bit close to the corner. We want to have some spacing, but again, we still want this to be dynamic. So we're going to use another Godot node called a MarginContainer. So on the base slide, we're going to make a new node, MarginContainer. and that's going to be our parent. So let's drag it up here, and the HFlowContainer is going to be inside the MarginContainer. Now the MarginContainer right now is sort of compressing down, which is forcing the HFlowContainer to wrap because, it's trying to take up as little space as possible. So the MarginContainer, we want to say you need to be at the top, but take up as much space as possible. So we go to the layout there, and the layout mode anchors, and the anchors preset top wide. So it will fill out the full width and be anchored on the top. And then the HFlowContainer is sitting inside that and filling in that space. Now we made the MarginContainer so we can have some margins here. And so let's set that up. We go to the theme overrides constants, and let's set our top margin to be 40 and our left margin also 40. And now we've got some dynamically spaced children that are always going to be 40 pixels away from the border. No matter how many we have, they will stack left to right. And if one of them hides, the others will fill in position dynamically. So that's pretty cool. Let's see it in action. We'll start the game here, and we'll run MPF. So we start a game, and here we've got 2 zeros and ball 1 there, and we can score some points with our bumpers. But if we push the start button again, boom, now we see that we're player 1 on ball 1. And so that's dynamic scoring, it's dynamic positioning, it's using the power of Godot to do this UI control stuff that you don't have to worry about. And there are plenty of great documentations and tutorials on using Godot UI and using Godot control elements to build out these things. So check those out. Now we're going to make another mode, and this mode will be triggered by player behavior, and it will do some stuff, and then it will end. So this is different than the bumpers mode, which we made before, which sort of automatically starts and is constantly running. So this mode we're going to call a Hurryup. And the way it works is you hit the left lane and it will start the Hurryup mode. You'll see a score value on the screen of the value of the Hurryup. And when you hit the left lane again, you get that score. And when you get the score, the mode ends, or if the timer runs out, the mode ends. So let's set that up. We'll start on the MPF side of things and create a new file with config version equals 6. And we're going to call this one Hurryup. So the mode, start events, start mode Hurryup, stop events, stop mode Hurryup, priority 1000. Because this is going to be pretty high priority. When the Hurryup is happening, we want it to be front and center, literally. So this is going to make sure that the Hurryup slide is on top of any other slides, unless those slides are higher than 1000. Priority numbers, there's no scale. It's entirely relative. So you could do 1, 2, 3, you could do 20, 30, 1000, whatever numbers make sense. Try to come up with a system that, is logical for you. So the way the Hurryup is going to work is we're going to have a timer, and that timer is going to run, and it's going to adjust the value of the Hurryup, and then when the timer expires, the mode will end. So we'll start by setting up our timer. And that's in the timers section, and we're going to call this one Hurryup Timer, because we are very clever and think of good names for things. And a couple of things. Timers can run up or they can run down. We think of a Hurryup timer as running down because, when you run out of time, but we're not going to show the time that is remaining. We're going to show the score that's remaining. And if we start with the base value of the score, the amount we subtract of it is going to increase over time. So it may seem counterintuitive, but to me, it makes more sense to have the timer go up because the amount you're taking away from the score goes up. So we're going to start at 0, which is the default. We're going to have an end value of 5. This will be a 5-second Hurryup. Start running true, which means as soon as this mode starts, start the timer. Don't wait for us to manually start it. And we will need a variable player to award the score. So Hurryup hit is going to award a score of 100,000 minus device.timers.hurryuptimer.ticks times 10,000. So what does that mean? It means that when the variable player sees the Hurryup hit event happen, it's going to award a score, and that score value is going to be 100,000 points minus the number of ticks on the Hurryup timer times 10,000. So a timer tick is every time the timer increments itself. So we're starting at 0. So if this is hit immediately, it's going to be 100,000 minus 0, so we're fine. Every time the timer ticks up, that value is going to go up by 1. So 3 seconds, it'll be 3. 3 times 10,000 is 30,000, so your score is 100,000 minus 30,000. This is some mathy kinds of things that can be convenient in a variable player because we don't want to necessarily have to keep track of every possible value. We wait till the end and calculate the value at the time. So every time the timer ticks up, the potential score goes down, but there actually is no score until it's hit. So what is Hurryup Hit? Well, we're going to have to make a shot. Like I mentioned before, each mode can contain all of its shots and timers and lights and all those things within it. So we can have a shot inside a mode. We enable the mode or start the mode to get access to that shot, and we turn off the mode or disable the mode to disable that shot. So it's a really easy way of controlling when things are happening. So we're going to define a shot here, and we're going to call it Hurry Up. And the switch is going to be S left lane. So, like I said before, shots always have an underscore hit event when they're hit. So the shot is called Hurry Up, and the switch is left lane. So when left lane is hit, Hurry Up Hit event is going to be posted. And we're going to want some slides for this one. So we'll do slide player, mode, Hurry Up, started, Hurry Up. And that's it. We don't need to remove the slide because that slide is being triggered by the Hurry Up mode. So when the Hurry Up mode stops, MPF and GMC are automatically going to shut down any shows, any slides, any music or sound effects or lights or anything that mode started will be shut down when the mode ends. There are some ways around that when you don't want that, but generally it's really convenient. Okay, so now we need to do a little bit more control about how this mode works and when it does things. So we're going to set up an event player. And the first thing that we need to do is if the timer runs out, Hurry Up is over. So the timer has an end value of 5 seconds. So we're going to say timer, and then the name of the timer, which is Hurry Up Timer. A little bit redundant, but I think it's just easier to understand. Complete. The complete event is what happens when the timer gets to its end value. So if it's going up that end value, it will count up to that end value. If it's going down, it will count down to the end value. But when it hits the end value, it will post its complete event. And when the timer is complete, we want to stop mode Hurry Up. And that's it. Like if the timer's done, mode's done, you missed your chance. Hurry Up Hit also is going to end the mode because once the mode has been hit, stop it. I mean, we can't get the Hurry Up multiple times. So we're going to call stop mode Hurry Up. Now here is where that mode ending behavior is important because the Hurry Up Hit is going to trigger the stop mode Hurry Up event, and the mode is listening for that event to stop itself, but it doesn't stop immediately. It goes through a shutdown procedure. So the fact that variable player is also using Hurry Up Hit is fine. They can both trigger that. We can trigger the stopping of the mode at the same time we trigger the score, and that score will get processed and evaluated before the mode is completely shut down. And the last thing we want to do is send a new value. We want to send something to GMC so GMC knows this is what the Hurry Up value currently is. Some people might use just store a variable with the value and then update that variable, but that seems a little bit heavy because that variable is going to be changing constantly. We don't need it as a variable. All we care about is, the current value at that moment in time. So we're going to set a new event on timer Hurry Up timer tick. And this event is posted every time the timer increments its tick. And so we're going to send an event called Hurry Up value. This is a custom event that we're making just for this purpose that GMC is going to listen for. And we're going to include a value with that event. And that we do by setting up this Hurry Up value event as a dictionary instead of just a name. And we're going to set the value called current Hurry Up. And that value type is going to be an int, which is an integer, which is a whole number. And its value is going to be the same thing we set for what the score is going to be, which is 100,000 minus ticks times 10,000. So here we only say ticks, and here we say device timers Hurry Up timer ticks. What's the deal with that? Well, this timer Hurry Up timer tick event is going to include the ticks as part of the event. So we can just get the value that's already there rather than going and looking for it. So when you're using this type of syntax with MPF, if you're using dots in things, device.timers or machine.this or player.that, you're saying I'm explicitly going to look for a variable somewhere in this thing. Whereas if you don't use a dot, you just use a name, you're saying, I want to get that value from the event that triggered me. So timer hurry-up, timer tick has a variable called ticks, and that's the value that we want to use. In a future video, I'm sure we'll go much more into events and all that stuff. All right, so let's save this as our hurry-up mode. And that's going to be in the modes folder. We're going to make a new folder called hurry-up. And in hurry-up, we'll make a new folder called config. And we will save this as hurryup.yaml. And once again, we need to tell MPF that this is a mode that we want to be active. So in our config.yaml modes, we're going to add hurryup. So pretty cool. Now we just need to make a slide for it. So in Godot, back in our slides folder, we're going to make a new scene. And once again, the scene is type MPF slide. It remembered from before, so that's convenient. And we're going to call this one Hurryup, because that's what we said in slide player. And once again, we're going to set our size of this slide to be the size of our screen, which is 1280 by 1024. And we're going to add another color rect. Again, you don't have to be using color rects. You can be using pictures or videos or whatever you like, but this, for the sake of a demo. Hurry up is intense. It's a big deal. So let's use some nice pink to be, hey, pay attention to me. Not too abrasive though. We'll soften it a bit. And once again, we're going to use the layout anchors on this one. So we're going to go anchors, full rect, so it fills the whole screen. Okay, so there's two things we want in here. We want to say hurry up, and we want to say the current hurry up value. So the hurry up, that's just going to be text. So we can use a normal label mode or label node there. And the label text is going to be hurry up. 2 words. And we'll make that nice and big in the theme overrides font sizes. Let's make it 180. Boom, that's nice and big. And yeah, let's do some positioning on this one as well. So for these ones, let's have them stacked vertically. So we can, have children and they'll always be centered. They'll be vertically centered and they will just go in a row. So for that, we're going to create a new VBox container. Now a box container, unlike a flow container, will automatically center its children in both directions. So a flow container starts at one end and rolls the children out, whereas a box container puts the child in the middle and then spaces them out as it grows. So this VBox container, we are going to lay out also anchors, also full rect. So the box container is the full slide. We're going to put this label inside the box container. And what just happened? Well, the box container is set to start laying out the children from the beginning, and we want to lay them out in the center. And then it will stack them down. And this label here is, you can see it's getting the full width because the container is expanding it out. But since it's text, we need the horizontal line center. So that's pretty good. Let's do a score. So in the VBox container, we're going to add another child of MPF variable. And this one's going to be different from some of the other variables we've done because this one is not a player variable. This is an event variable. So variable type is going to be an event arg, and the event arg is current hurryup. So remember, if we look at our MPF code, we're sending an event. The event is called hurryup value, and that hurryup value event includes a argument current hurryup, which is the number that we want to display. So on our node here, we have the variable name of current hurryup, and the update event is going to be hurryup value. So this is the name of the event that GMC will listen for, and this is the name of the variable in the event to render. And this is always going to be a pretty big number, so we do want to comma separate it. We don't need minimum digits because it's not going to be that big, and we don't need anything else, but let's see what it looks like if it starts at 100,000. Oh, that's teeny tiny. So let's go back to our theme overrides, font sizes, and make that a nice 100. That looks pretty good. And you see what happened there. As that got bigger, it shifted the hurry up. If we make it even bigger, and see, that's our VBox container at work. It's lining the children together and centering them as we need to. That looks a little bit big, so let's stick with 120. And again, we will go to the horizontal alignment and center it. They look a little bit close though. So let's go to our VBox container under theme overrides constants and set some separation. So we'll get a little bit of space between there. How about 60 pixels? 120 pixels. There. So now the VBox container is still laying its children out in a row, but it's putting some space in between them. And this is cool. And like, why is this helpful? Well, maybe you decide to change the size of your screen and you want to go to a 1280 square screen. It automatically expands. Or maybe you have, a slide that's going to have some things and you don't know how many things it's going to have. Or if you have two things going at the same time, each slide takes up half the space. There are a lot of different ways to do it, but mostly it's just helpful if you decide you want to change something. You don't have to go back and find every little piece and rearrange them and try to make sure it's centered and deal with all that. Just let Godot do the hard work. You just tweak it until you like how it is. And there's one thing I forgot to do, and that's indicate how to start the Hurryup mode. Because we've got the mode running, we've got the slide for it, but right now there's no way to make it start. So back in MPF in our base, because remember, base is managing everything. Base is in charge of all the stuff. So we need to make a shot for the left lane. I'm going to call that left lane. Simple enough. Switches S left lane. And in the event player, we're going to say left lane hit, start mode, hurry up. Now this is the only thing that we're going to do on left lane hit, so we're just putting it right in line here as a simple event, whereas base started and base will stop, we're going to have a lot of things, and that's why we're using the indented list structure there. All right, so now when we hit the left lane, we will start the hurry up mode, and let's see what that looks like. So here we are, start a game, and there's our hurry up mode. And there we can see it's counting down 10,000 points every second and then ends. But there was a little bit weird because you notice that it didn't show up there for the first thing. It only showed up at 90,000. So what's going on? Well, if we go to our MPF variable here, it has something called initialize empty. And this is the default behavior because when a variable comes up, especially if it's an event variable, that's going to come up. We don't know when the next event is going to happen that will trigger it. So initialize empty is a way to say, don't show anything until we know what to show. But in this situation, we know what the value is going to be when we start, and we're not going to get an event until the timer ticks and it goes down. So we turn off initialize empty, and that's where this text value here becomes important because this text value is what's going to be shown. So if we were to set 200, it would start at 200 and then jump down to 90, and that's no good. So we want to make sure that this is the correct value, but that means when this slide loads up, it will show that variable first and then, start updating when the event comes in. Didn't it feel a little bit slow having it update every second? That's not very exciting. That's not a good hurry up. A hurry up should feel a little bit faster. So what we're going to do is we're going to change our timer. So instead of ticking every second, we're going to go a little bit faster than that. So down in the timers here, we're going to add a new property called tick interval. And this is how long the game waits between ticking the timer. And let's do it 5 times a second or 200 milliseconds. So instead of ticking every second, it'll tick 5 times a second. Of course, that means we need to increase our end value by 5. So we'll do 25 seconds, 25 ticks instead of 5 ticks because 5 ticks a second times 5 seconds, 25 ticks. But that also means since we've increased it by 5, we don't want to subtract 10,000 every tick. We want to subtract 2,000. So quickly here, we'll just set this to be 2,000 and 2,000. So then we're still losing 10,000 points a second, but we're going to see it update and we're going to have a little bit more precision there, and the hurry up's going to feel a little bit better. So let's see that in action. We'll start GMC, we'll start MPF, and start the hurry up. See, now it's running a lot faster. It feels a lot better, going, and then it's gone, and we have no points. But if we get there and then we hit the left lane, 78,000 points. We can do it again. 156, and we've still got our bumpers here, and we can still add another player, do the hurry up again, and yeah, I can do this all day. But there you have it. That's some Godot UI layout. It's setting up a slide. It's having a mode that shows a slide, does some dynamic updating of a variable. We've got a score here. We've got some other stuff. There's a lot more to get into. There's a lot that we can cover. In the next video, I'll go on to some widgets, doing an overlay widget for something like a skill shot and having different variations of a widget that can show depending on what slide it's over top of, and whatever else I think of. So thanks for watching. Hope this has been helpful, and happy pinballing.